just when she thought all was lost. Betrayed by her own family and forced into a marriage with a comatose hero, she stumbled upon their dark secret. It was all a cruel scheme, a plot designed to ruin her completely. But they made one fatal mistake. They underestimated the man she was forced to marry. Just as their wicked plan was about to succeed, he awakened. His eyes opened, and with them, a storm of vengeance was unleashed. Watched as he rises from his slumber, not just to protect her, but to utterly decimate everyone who dared to wrong her. Her family thought they had won, but they had just awakened their own destruction. This is a story of revenge you won't want to miss. Hit that subscribe button for more epic tales. For 24 years, Stephanie Thompson believed she was an orphan, a survivor hardened by the Detroit foster care system. She learned early on that hope was a dangerous thing. But 3 months ago, a DNA test shattered her entire reality. She wasn't an orphan. She was the long-lost daughter of Robert and Diana Thompson, real estate moguls from Houston. A hospital mix-up, a tragic mistake. She'd been declared dead as an infant, while her biological family, unknowingly, thrived miles away. Stephanie arrived at their magnificent River Oaks mansion with a fragile dream of finally belonging. But the welcome was colder than a Detroit winter. Her adopted sister, Gwen, who had lived the life of a pampered princess, looked her up and down with pure disdain. "You're just biology," Gwen sneered, completely ignoring Stephanie's hopeful, outstretched hand. Her brother, Daniel, was glued to his phone, offering nothing more than a distracted grunt. And her parents, Robert and Diana, were just as bad. They gave her stiff, awkward pleasantries. But there were no warm hugs, no tears of joy for their returned daughter. They showed her to her room, the smallest one in the house, tucked away next to the noisy laundry room. It was a world away from Gwen's luxurious suite, and the message was crystal clear: you are an outsider. The real cruelty began 2 weeks later at a family dinner. Gwen, with a smug smile, slid a legal contract across the polished dining table. It wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a declaration of war. "I bet I can take everything from you 9 times, Gwen said, her voice dripping with ice. "If I succeed 9 times, you disappear from our lives forever. But if you win just once, I'll be the one to leave." Stephanie looked at her parents for help, but they were silent, their indifference a weapon in Gwen's hands. Taunted about her foster kid past and desperate for any chance to prove she was worthy, Stephanie picked up the pen. With a trembling hand, she signed her name, sealing her fate in a twisted game of survival. The losses were swift and brutal, each one designed to break her spirit. First, Gwen declared Stephanie's room was the perfect spot for her new meditation space. Just like that, Stephanie was banished to a windowless, damp room in the basement. Next came Lucky, a stray dog Stephanie had rescued and loved dearly. Gwen suddenly developed a severe, theatrical allergy, and Stephanie was forced to surrender her only friend to a shelter, her heart breaking as she said goodbye. Then, the biggest blow of all. Stephanie had worked tirelessly to earn a prestigious scholarship to Rice University, but with a single, massive donation from her father, Gwen had it stolen, redirecting it to herself. Stephanie was left with the scraps, a place at a local community college. By the 8th round, Stephanie was a ghost in her own family's home, completely isolated and ignored at dinner, her dignity stripped away piece by piece. But the 9th and final round was designed not just to defeat her, but to utterly shatter her. At community college, she met Derek Williams. He was charming, kind, and seemed to understand her pain. They bonded over their shared struggles, and for the first time since arriving in Houston, Stephanie felt seen, felt valued. He asked her out, and a tiny flame of hope flickered back to life within her. That hope was extinguished at an emergency family meeting. There, sitting beside a triumphant Gwen, was Derek. He was Gwen's boyfriend, and he had been all along. He confessed he had only romanced Stephanie on Gwen's orders. A cruel trade in exchange for money to help his struggling family. "It's nothing personal," Derek muttered, shamefaced, as he officially chose Gwen, sealing Stephanie's final, crushing defeat. The humiliation wasn't over. As the loser of the bet, her punishment was to marry Captain James Monroe, a decorated Army Ranger who was in a deep coma. He had been severely injured while protecting a witness, and his influential family was looking for a wife to give him a purpose to fight, a reason to wake up. The Thompsons saw their chance to get rid of Stephanie and forge a powerful alliance at the same time. They offered her up like a sacrificial lamb. But this was the moment Stephanie stopped being a victim. Pushed to the absolute edge, she found a strength she never knew she had. She looked her father dead in the eye and made her demand. She would marry the Comatose captain. But in exchange, she wanted Grandma Thompson's historic properties, valued at $8 million. Robert, blinded by the potential power of an alliance with the Monroes, didn't hesitate. The deeds were signed. Gwen was furious, but for the first time, she was powerless. Stephanie immediately blocked Gwen and Derek's numbers. She went to visit the family matriarch, Grandma Thompson, who saw the fire in Stephanie's eyes and gifted her a beautiful family heirloom, a jade bracelet. But they weren't alone. Gwen had been eavesdropping and immediately texted Derek, "Sabotage the wedding. We need to get those properties back." On the day of the wedding, the sabotage began. Derek bombarded Stephanie's phone with desperate calls, begging her to back out all part of Gwen's plan. Then, on the way to the hospital, their car was ambushed by hired thugs. But they hadn't counted on James's mother, Eleanor Monroe. A formidable woman, Eleanor made one phone call, and within minutes, security swarmed the area, repelling the attackers. Undeterred, Stephanie walked into that hospital chapel. There, in a wheelchair, dressed in his full military uniform, was Captain James Monroe. He was peaceful, handsome, and looked strangely alive for a man in a coma. With Eleanor speaking the vows for her son, Stephanie became his wife. She leaned down, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "I'm here now. I'll fight for you." In that quiet moment, the chaplain noticed a tiny, almost imperceptible flicker on his heart rate monitor. After the ceremony, Eleanor revealed the grim truth. Doctors had been pushing to remove life support, but faint glimmers of brain activity had given them a sliver of hope. Stephanie made a promise. She would not give up on him. She began spending her days by James's side, reading to him, telling him stories of her own difficult life, holding his hand during physical therapy. She read him The Count of Monte Cristo, a story of betrayal and ultimate justice. A few weeks in, she felt it a faint squeeze from his fingers. Soon after, his eyelids fluttered. The doctor, amazed, confirmed his brain activity was steadily increasing. "Whatever you're doing, doctor," O'Connor told her, "it's working." Meanwhile, Derek's world was falling apart. Gwen had reneged on all her promises. The money for his father's cancer treatments never came, and the debts were piling up. Consumed by rage and desperation, he blamed Stephanie. He started researching hospital layouts, his mind twisting with dark plans. If he couldn't get her help willingly, maybe he could force her hand by ensuring James never woke up. A storm was brewing. As James stirred, pulled from the darkness by the sound of his wife's voice and the promise in her vows, a new, unexpected love was blooming in Stephanie's heart. But Derek's desperate obsession threatened to destroy everything. The final battle was coming. When James Monroe finally opened his eyes, the man who had fought for strangers would rise to protect his wife, and he would make the Thompsons regret for the rest of their lives the day they ever heard her.